Hey y'all, welcome to the West T Podcast with Morgan San Diego. Today we are talking about LPNs and if LPNs are being phased out and should you still become an LPN. It's going to be so much tea we're going to be spilling, so I can't wait for y'all to watch. So should you become an LPN and are LPNs being phased out?
No, and my name's Eunice, and I've been an LPN for 10 years.
Okay, and what do you do as an LPN?
I work as a clinical market manager.
Nice. Okay, and what do you do?
My name is Musu. I work as LPN in the emergency room currently, but I did do dialysis as well as skilled nursing.
Okay, and should you become an LPN, and do you think the LPNs are being phased out?
I feel that, becoming an LPN is a choice. Because you can become an RN, you can start off with your BSN. But I saw this post on Instagram once when I started my LPN program, and it said, LPNs is just taking a scenic route to nursing. And I appreciated that because not everybody can start with, becoming an RN or start becoming an BSN. Life was life in my life. So I had to start somewhere. I needed to get my foot right in the door, and LPN was the way to go, and I have no regrets. Are they being phased out? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're opening, I feel like the companies have realized how to use LPNs in different settings instead of, just in skilled nursing. And once they've realized that, they're now allowing more LPNs to be hired in their setting in specialties because they're learning how to use them versus keeping LPNs in one position or one, department, which was skilled nursing.
Yeah. And I think that this is a big problem that people learn from nursing school, because in a BSN program, I was kind of indoctrinated to think that because I was a BSN, I would have every single opportunity in the world, and that LPNs only worked in nursing homes. And that's so untrue.
Yes.
Because just like you said, you're in the ER. I feel like there's so many opportunities, especially now, because we're having so many people leave the field.
Right.
We're seeing so many LPNs in the ER and labor and delivery and certain, in certain specialties, right? Places that we were told, oh, LPNs can't work here. LPNs can't work here.
Absolutely. For sure. Absolutely. For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you do in your role. And do you feel like your roles are ever limited because you're an LPN? And where do you kind of look for jobs? Like where did you start?
Absolutely. So for me, I currently right now, like I said, I work as a clinical market manager. So I oversee a group of 15 people all over Georgia, mostly South Georgia. I go down, the name of their role is navigators. So I work for a value-based health company, and I work mainly remote, but I consider it hybrid. I do travel to them at times. So I started, though, in skilled nursing, right? Like I started in skilled nursing thinking that those were my only options because that's what I was told in nursing school. A lot of our clinicals was in skilled nursing facilities. But I quickly learned, although I'm a very compassionate nurse and I love bedside, I quickly learned that my calling was in management and overseeing people. So before I even got my role as a clinical market manager, I actually worked as a regional director of nursing and oversaw 4 very luxury communities in Georgia. So the wellness directors for those communities will report directly to me. So it was a mixture. Actually, I had some RNs that reported to me and LPNs as well. And I think that the driving force for my career was I led with compassion and really true building relationships. One of the main things that they tell you is that if you're going to take any form of leadership, you need to be an RN, right? An RN. But leadership can definitely be taught. I think that leadership is something that, leadership is something that they usually teach you. If you want to take a form of leadership, you need to be an RN. And that's just not true. I've done it for many years to where I've held leadership positions and been able to oversee both RNs and LPNs.
Yes. Okay. And what's the difference between RNs and LPNs and as far as like education and training? Because I think that while they were indoctrinating us with all this false information in nursing school, Because, for example, I was taught that LPNs don't have rotations in maternity and peds, and that's so untrue. So what's the education difference and training kind of between RNs and LPNs?
Yeah. Well, I find that in the emergency room, I'll be honest with you, post-pandemic, the job assignments is not that, like, it's kind of neck and neck. I'll be honest with you. And you find yourself kind of just, in the emergency room, and it's an emergency. A blood needs to be started. This heart medication needs to be titrated. I'll titrate it, get the RN to sign it off. So like, it's not, you really do not see a vast, so what I'm looking for, like, you don't just see, like, it's not like a big difference as far as I can handle mid acuity patients just as well as the RN can handle a high acuity patient. You know what I'm saying? And LPNs are also delegating. They're delegating to CNAs, they're delegating to techs, and sometimes they're delegating to RNs. Some of the assignments that they have for LPNs in the emergency room is EMS triage. The only thing that we're not putting in is the acuity code, so then the charge nurse or whoever puts it in, but we're triaging that patient. And we're assigning that to the rooms and letting the RNs or LPNs know, hey, this is the patient that you're getting, blah, blah, blah. So I honestly have not seen post-pandemic a vast change or a vast difference in the care that we're giving to the patients. And so even with skilled nursing, you really didn't see a change either. You had an RN that did the same thing as an LPN, and the only change that you saw was your paycheck. And so that encouraged a lot of LPNs to want to become an RN, because it's like, why am I doing the same thing that she's doing and I'm getting paid less than what she is? So that was your only encouragement. It wasn't because I want to do X, Y, and Z because she's doing it. It's really just, I want to match my pay, or I want my pay to equal to my worth in what I'm doing because I'm doing the same thing that she's doing, or even more, So I really can't say there's a vast difference in the care other than the pay.
Yeah. I think what the difference is systemic, right? Like, I think that what you mentioned and also what you mentioned is that we're trained to believe that there's a huge difference. The reality is that BSNs and RNs do have more schooling. But what I tell people is that there's schooling and then there's working the floor and like working in the field, right? A lot of people will admit that I didn't know what I was doing until I got in the field and started doing that.
That's absolutely true. Right.
So the schooling, yes, there is more schooling that comes with being the RN, but I always tell new grads, like, if you want it, you have to go out there and learn in the field. So that's where a lot of it comes from. The big difference is what school tells you you're capable of doing, or your state regulates you to do, and then what you're going to actually go out there and want to learn and become an expert at. So there's a difference. There's more schooling, right? And even for some of the girls that we were talking to out there, like, you can go and be a specialist. I couldn't tell you nothing about being the CRN, right? Like, I don't know, but my goal was to always go into leadership, and I've been able to achieve that in the way that I saw as being successful. I think that a lot of times that we all think that you can only be successful in one way, which is being a BSN or going and getting your doctorate. Those are all great, but what I perceive as being successful is being able to lead people into being experts in their particular field, then that's also success as well.
Yes. So if you could go back, would you still do an LPN program, and why?
Yes, I would. And the reason why is I think that we're all on assignment. And when I decided to do my LPN, I had the option to do an RN. This is a whole story for another day, but a for-profit school is what I went to. That's a whole another podcast, I'm sure. But they had both programs at the time, right? Like, you could go the RN route and you can go the LPN route. There was also an accreditation piece in it that I wanted to make sure that I was on the right path for. So the reason why I say yes is I truly believe, for me, if I would have took the RN route, I would have went a completely different direction than what my career has took me. I think that mentally, the limitations that I put in my head pushed me in a certain direction, but it's worked for me, right? Like I became an expert at geriatrics in my sense, to where if I would have took my RN, yeah, I would at the time, a decade ago, there would have been more opportunities. It probably would have took me a whole nother route. So I think it's important for people to remember, like, what's your why? What do you want to achieve? And take that route. LPNs have not been around this long for no reason. There's a
Period.
reason why.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I had actually started my BSN straight out of high school, and I was young, and I think I did it mainly because my grandmother's an RN, a lot of healthcare people in my family, and so I just wanted to appease them, and so I was in maternity. And the school that I was going to required you to pass your classes with a 75 or better, and I got a 74, and I was devastated. And back then, you couldn't just start the next program; you had to start a whole year over, and that just kind of broke me because I had goals for myself. I knew that was my life's calling. They used to call me the neighborhood nurse when I was young. Had Band-Aids and Ace bandages, and my 3 main suppliers was alcohol, peroxide, and Band-Aids. So everyone came to my house, whoever fell and broke their ankle or scraped their knee, they came to my house, and my mom's like, what is going on with all of my supplies? Like, why are we out of alcohol? I'm like, oh, so-and-so needed it because they fell down. And she's like, I don't understand. Like, why? So it was just always what everyone knew that's what I was going to do. And in my heart, I knew that's who I needed to be was a nurse.
Yeah.
Are LPNs real nurses?
Yes.
Absolutely. Period.
Tell them. Because I think that people get caught up on this LPN versus RN thing. And a lot of people think that LPNs are not nurses. And I'm going to say why I believe that LPNs are absolutely real nurses. They take the NCLEX. Y'all take the NCLEX.
Absolutely.
And if we look at the name, they break down the acronym.
Definitely.
Licensed practical nurse.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a horrible, toxic environment when you get into people who are in that, like, just that climax of, well, RNs, I'm an RN and you're an LPN. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. We can all work together. And I find that the reason why a lot of companies are bringing LPNs and RNs together is so they can work together and the care can become, top tier versus an RN doing this and an LPN doing this. And we're kind of battling each other. And the whole goal is to take care of patients. The whole goal is the care of that patient. And once we get out of that, where that mindset of thinking we're against each other and we're actually working with each other. I have some nights where I'm working with one of those toxic RNs and, she feels as if LPN shouldn't be there. I shouldn't be doing this assignment. I shouldn't even be here. We don't belong in the ER. And it's a horrible night. But then I work with some of the RNs that appreciates and works with you and works with me and, kind of throw things at me like, hey, what do you think about this? And, I give my nursing judgment and we both kind of just come to a conclusion and it works and the flow works. The patient gets the best care. They leave out of there, just grateful. I'm so grateful that you're my nurse today. I'm so grateful with the care. You guys worked as a team. It was beautiful versus and patients can tell when there's a toxic environment. And they can tell when you're not getting along. They're listening. The nurses station is like a fishbowl. They see everything that's going on. They see the back talk, the slick talk. They see the rolling of the eyes. And when no one wants to be in that type of environment. I know I don't. If I ever go to an emergency room and both my nurses are arguing, A&M me out because I'm not going to be involved. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be involved in, then what kind of care am I getting? Like if you're worried about what she's doing, no one's worrying about me. A&M me out. I'll find another place. I'm okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's so yeah, we are absolutely real nurses. We blood, sweat, and tears. We work hard. We're there 12 hours as well as the RNs. We have our nursing judgments as well. There's critical thinking skills that we have to, encounter. And we're nurses. I don't understand how they don't think, right, we're not nurses in what way.
You said too, Morgan, I think that it's indoctrinated in us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and I always get the, oh, I love our LPNs. I love the work that you do. I can never do skilled nursing, right? And I always say, like, I can never do 50 patients. I'm like, yeah, that is a reality for some, but
That's not yours.
Right.
that's not my reality. And don't put us in that box. I don't need you to pity me because if I'm being honest, let's seriously clock it. I probably make more than you.
Right.
Clock it, girl. Clock it.
Like it's not, and then you get the feedback of like, yeah, but you got to work 90 hours. No, I'm working 40 or less.
Yeah.
Like this is getting out of that mindset of thinking that like just because they're LPN, they are an aide, because I get that a lot, or they are only able to function in a certain setting. That's not the truth.
No.
That's not the truth at all.
Okay, so that leads into our next question. What kind of jobs and settings can LPNs work in?
Let's talk about it.
There's a plethora of jobs.
Yeah.
You are in an amazing position. I didn't even think, you blew me away with the position that you have, because I have been trying to get into it. I'm like, what do I need to do to get into that field? Like, I want to get into IT. And just, you're an inspiration, because I didn't think that was possible. And, I kind of joined a lot of Facebook groups, and you don't really see that out there. That's not an example.
Yeah, I always tell people that there is a lot of jobs out there. And I think that building relationship, at least for me, is key to get an idea of what is out there. Like I stated before, I'm working as a clinical market manager now. I've done home health, and when I say home health, is not going and sitting with mom for 12 hours. It's going and doing assessment and using skills to do wound care and other things of that sort. But I always tell people there's a lot of different positions to do out there, but you have to know your worth as well. So if you think that I'm only worth whatever they're giving out to me, do your research. See how much is they're getting reimbursed for the work that you're putting out, and meet them. It doesn't have to be 50-50, but meet them more, because I can guarantee you that if I'll use home health for an example, if you're going out and doing one assessment and they're getting paid $150 off of you and turn around and give you $30, that doesn't make sense. Right. So like, you have to know your worth and do your research. I think it's really important as an LPN is to say, this is what I bring to the table, and really, truly, you cannot do this without me.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. I find that skilled nursing isn't the only position that LPNs are working in, especially post-pandemic. They're now allowing them in a lot of specialties. I also did dialysis in nursing, and I did dialysis for a lot of years. And they utilize them, as well as the RN, to work together in the care of the patient. They're in emergency rooms, as to where I work. They're in labor delivery. They're now putting them in cath labs. So companies are starting to realize that they can utilize LPNs in a special way versus just in skilled nursing.
yeah.
So thank you, ladies, for coming on the podcast. Is there
Having us.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to say as far as like closing out and how people can connect with you?
Yeah.
Well, my biggest thing that I want to say is that you shouldn't allow your current situation to discourage you from what is aligned for you and your destiny. If LPN is the way to go for you, by all means, do it, get in there. There's some 10 months program, which is what I did. There's some 11 months, 12 months programs, whatever works for you to get your foot in the door, you can do it. I did LPN because I knew that if I started with my LPN, my next credentials as far as RN and BSN, someone else is going to pay for, i.e. another company or a hospital. So I'm not going to pay out of pocket for it. I'm only going to pay one time and get my current, my other credentials from the companies. And, if they're going to use me to work the hours, I'm going to also use them to pay for the schooling that they, that I want. But pursue that dream, get your foot in the door, start somewhere, LPNs are not the lower paid nursing. You can make real money as an LPN, and it's not requiring you to do 90 hours, but that's it.
Yeah. So please follow my social media because I'm incredibly tagged on there. My last words are just going off of what you said is do what is best for you. Do what's best for you. Start where is a good start for you, and pursue it to your fullest. I always tell people that if it's financial, of course we have our nurses, we have compassion behind everything that we do, but financially, don't let it be, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to reach certain peaks. My term that I use is the six-figure low-paid nurse. That's why what I'm saying, because I've been in 6 figures for a while. It is very easy to get there as an LPN. So definitely put my socials on there. I am always open for any questions. If you are looking for something outside of skilled nursing, reach out to me, and I'm more than willing to help.
Well, I'm definitely utilizing that.